We have recently reached 100 subscribers. Thank you so much for the support. As this is a special occasion, I have decided to do something different. I made my first game in 2015. It's an adventure game called Prisoner. Before this game, I had no knowledge about programming or making games. So after watching a few tutorials and making some tests, I decided to make this game. A lot of people suggested that I should spend 1 month or less to make my first game. This way I will get an understanding about finishing and publishing a game. So in March of 2015 I started making Prisoner. In that month I programmed, made the graphics and music of the game. I didn't pay too much attention to design, as I didn't know the importance of it at the time. Anyway, I had decided to play the game I made 5 years ago and comment it. This is Prisoner. I made the game in GameMaker Studio. It's a great engine and taught me a lot of things. The game had a long intro. Well, actually not that long, but nothing happened for a while, so people wondered if the game was broken or something. At the moment I thought that it was great that the character wake up when the music starts. But as I see it now, it turned out confusing and slow. I did the same thing with the dialogue of the game. It started with a change of the music. I will make this very different now. The story of the game wasn't really great. It's about a prisoner that wakes up in a dungeon. He has no memories, like a common cliché of video games. The next mistake in my opinion is showing the controls like this. There is too much information for taking it all at once. I made a menu with saving and language support. It turned out pretty decent for being our first game. I even translated the game to 3 languages: English, Italian and Spanish. The Spanish and English translations were made by me, while the Italian one was made by Stefano Ciclari. He offered himself in Twitter and helped the game a lot to reach more people. Anyway, I included a save system, but the game is like 20 minutes long, but it was great for learning how to do it. But later I found out that people didn't use the save system, or even know that it existed. There is another problem right at the start of the game. The exit of the cell is too narrow. The character barely fits. And for some reason, I decided to put the main weapon in a box. This will be great for introducing a pickup mechanic, but this is the only time I use it in the game. Would be better if the player already had the sword. The running speed is way too high. It probably would be better without a sprinting mechanic. In this room I introduced combat. It's pretty basic. You just need to avoid enemy attacks and try to land hits on them. The range of vision of the enemies is the circle around them. Some people that play the game got confused, as it seems that you can sneak around the enemies. But there is a door that only opens when you kill all the enemies, so this darkness effect, although it's cool, is a bit misleading. The knockback of the player works a little strange, but it's understandable, as at this point I didn't know how to code too well. I made the destructible boxes, but some people didn't realize it. I should have probably changed the sprite of the boxes when they got hit. This room was way too hard. There are pits on both sides and moving traps. I didn't put a safe area for the player to learn about this mechanic, and most of the traps moved way too fast. For example, in this section the character barely fits between the pits. And the funny thing is that if you die falling in a pit or by the enemies at the end, you will be spawned back at the beginning of the room. In the next room I decided to combine the moving traps with enemies. It would be cool if the traps could hurt the enemies, but at the moment I didn't think about that. Those blue circles are score points. I learned how to make a score system and decided to implement it on the game, but it's a bit weird to have an adventure game with a score. Anyway, if you reach 100 points you get an extra life. In this room I introduced a new type of enemy, the archer. It had 2 variations, one that is standing in place and the other that can move. Again, this was a bad way of introducing this enemy, as I put pits on both sides and the first time you see the archer, he'll probably knock you off. And sadly I lost the code of the game, but I'm pretty sure that the knockback of this enemy is backwards. I mean, if you hit them, they aren't pushed back, they go towards the player. In the next room I went a bit overboard. One of these enemies have a key, but there is no way of knowing it without killing them. Luckily I still remember who has it. The enemy AI has some bugs. For example, I didn't know why this enemy is stabbing his friend. And here comes the plot twist. The voice that guided you was evil all along. Almost all of the people that play the game and upload videos to YouTube knew this from the first dialogue. I really like the music I made for the game. I use a program called Guitar Pro. It's pretty basic, but I think it fitted the game really well. This maze dude spawns 3 waves of enemies. This is too much, but at the moment felt right. It takes way too much time to advance to the next enemy. This is the first boss of the game. It's pretty simple. You had to hit him a few times with your sword to trigger the next phase. Then you receive a new weapon, the bow. By the way, it's a bit weird to use Ctrl and Alt for attack, right? I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, to hurt the boss, you need to attack him with the bow, but he's like super fast now. If he catches you, he will deal a lot of damage. Luckily, you are faster if you press sprint, the only moment of the game that this mechanic comes in handy. One weird thing about the game is that the enemies don't react if you attack them with a bow, so it's easy to clear this room using the bow. The next room is pretty hard as well. The mage shoots fireballs and there is a pit in each side of the hallway. The fireballs can knock you off, and I somehow decided that wasn't hard enough and added some moving traps. The mage disappears when you approach him. Some people try to kill him with the bow and got killed at this point. If that happens, you spawn back at the start of the room, so it's a bit of a pain. And here is the final boss. I really like how this fight turned out, but it has a problem. It's not clear what you have to do to kill the mage. There are 3 stages in this fight: spawn enemies, dodge and hit with bow, and then hit with sword. The spawn stage is just annoying. You have to kill 4 enemies every time. Then the mage turns off the lights and shoots fireballs. In this stage you have to hit him with a bow, but it's a bit hard as the fireballs move too quickly. When you land 3 or 4 arrows, the lights turn on and you have to hit the mage with the sword. The problem is that this stage is tied to a timer. If you aren't quick enough, you might not land a single blow. And this is the only stage where you can actually hurt the mage. As I said, this isn't explained anywhere, so people got confused and most of them didn't beat the game. A funny thing happened while recording this. I died and at the same time I triggered stage 3 of the fight. It takes some time to respawn, so I lost my chance of hurting the mage. So I had to do all the stages all over again. There is a bug in this fight. If the mage spawns too close to the walls in the upper section, he will not cast fireballs. This is because the fireballs are programmed to disappear when hitting a wall, and they spawn inside the wall. If you manage to land enough hits to the mage, you get the ending of the game. It has a extremely slow fade out and the credits. And that's it, this is Prisoner. I think that, for being a first project, it's pretty good. It has problems, but people seem to enjoy it, and it taught me a lot about game development. Prisoner also was my reason to get into game development. With it, I met a lot of nice people and saw how the indie game community was. I will always be grateful for all the people that helped me in the development of the game, as I am now with my new game. You guys rock! Thank you so much for 100 subscribers. I hope you enjoy the content I make. If you do, be sure to subscribe, as it helps me a lot. Tomorrow I will upload a devlog as I used to do. See you tomorrow.